Hello everyone, I am Bhumi Bagohil and today we will explore the portrayal of women in hard times and Jude the Obscure. These are my academic information. So let us take a brief introduction of Hard Times. It is a novel by Charles Dickens. It is set in Coketown, which is a fictitious Victorian industrial town, and it tells the story of Gradgrind family who values facts above all else and how their lack of imagination impact their lives. So the novel explores the impact of utilitarianism, dehumanizing effects of industrialization, and struggles of working class. Now, for the introduction of Jude the Obscure, the other novel, it is by Thomas Hardy, and it tells the story of Jude Foley, who aspires to be a university student but gets distracted from his dream due to several circumstances. And this novel depicts the lives of individuals who are trapped by forces beyond their control. And we see the themes of higher education, class differences, religion, and marriage. So let us move on to the character analysis of Louisa Gradgrind. She is daughter of Thomas Gradgrind and she has received a factual education. And because of that, her emotional development was stunned. And she lacks emotional intelligence and she cannot really explain her emotions, and she does not have that profoundness of feelings, and she does not know herself, you can say. So this has affected her character development, and later in life she is trapped in a loveless marriage with Mr. Bounderby. She gets married to Mr. Bounderby because it would benefit her brother, not even herself. So here we see this, she is bound by duty, we can say. As Cortez says in his paper, Louisa is a puppet in man's hand. She is their victim, and people also categorize her as failed angel in the house. So let us say angel in the house is this ideal of Victorian society that says that if a woman should be like this person who handles household affairs and she keeps the house happy, and if you have an angel in the house then you have like a good life. And Louisa Gradgrind is failed in this aspect because in the and we see a character arc is we see her redemption. We see that she starts getting expressing her feelings, she starts questioning her authorities, and she starts taking her life in her control. Then we have Sissy Ju. She is daughter of a circus performer and she is adopted by Gradgrind family. Sissy Ju possesses emotional intelligence and imagination, which is stark contrast to Louisa. Uh, she is resilient, optimistic, and and has influence on others. In the end, we see that she helps Louisa in gaining her own personality, in exploring herself, you can say. And we can also say that Sissy Jupe is kind of a foil character of Louisa. So foil character is something that so they are similar in age and they live in the same house, but there is only one big difference, and that is that Sissy has imagination, and because of that, her life is so different from Louisa's. As Sohal further says, that Dickens, through this character, strikes a contrast between Sissy and Louisa and sets an example of ideal characteristic that a woman should possess during the Victorian era. So they are saying that women should be resilient and optimistic, and this was not very much seen in the Victorian time period. Now let us see Sue Bridehead, which is who is she's a character from Jude the Obscure, and she is intellectual, sensitive, independent woman who is struggling with her time period. We see that she has a modern thinking. She lives alone, she works herself and earns her living, and because of she does not really get trapped in this. She does not believe in the rules of marriage, you can say, and because of that, she is struggling with her time period and people are rejecting her. So we see that she suffers many tragic circumstances, and at the end there is a return to orthodox thinking. So after all this, in the end, when her children die and she is very much affected by it, and she takes a drastic decision to leave all her modern thinking, you can say, behind and go back to her marriage. And because of this, there is also the new woman conflict around her. Many critics and scholars call her the new woman, like this feminist icon of her time, and many also argue that that is not so because of the ending. that we can say in Louisa's we see development, and in Sue Bridehead's character arc we see the opposite of it. And as Japanese scholar Nagamori argues that Sue is not presented as a new woman or even an imperfect one. Rather, she is a woman who attempts to resist the institution of marriage, but in the end conforms to it. She is an incarnation of a woman in the late 19th century who bridges the gap between the traditional Victorian woman and a woman of the next period. Then we have Arabella Dawn. She is an intelligent woman who manipulates social conventions to her advantage. And she has a knowledge of legal system, and she knows how to exploit the patriarchal system to benefit herself. We see this through her several marriages, and in all the situations, she, you can say, come out as a winner. Even in the end, when Jude is dying, she is already finding herself a new husband. And Nagamori further explores that her sexuality is overemphasized by the critics. So whenever somebody is talking about Arabella Dawn, they only emphasize the sexuality aspect of her, and they forget sometimes that she also represents how Victorian women ruthlessly conformed to and took advantage of social norms for their benefits. So, to conclude, we saw four characters: Louisa Gradgrind, who is trapped in her class and society and bound by duty. We have Sissy Jupe, who balances her ideas and situations around her. We have Sue Bridehead, who is tormented for her modern thinking. And Arabella Dawn, who is thriving through cunning means. These are my references, and thank you. Now, for any questions.
Bhumi, my question is that how is the institution of marriage employed as a vehicle for social criticism in both the works, Hard Times and Jude the Obscure?
You can say, okay, in Louisa's example we see in Hard Times, we see marriage between unequal people, you can say. There is a vast difference in their age, and that is how, so that was very common in that Victorian society. So there we see social criticism. In Jude the Obscure, we see two examples of this: the marriage between Jude and Arabella, and Sue and Mr. Phillotson. Both of them are, in both of these marriages, one of the partner is at least unhappy, but still they cannot take divorce or anything. And if they do, they have to face a lot of societal rejection. So here we see this social criticism of marriage in both of these works.
So, Bhumi, my question is, what are the contrasting attitudes and beliefs of Sue Breedhead and Arabella Dawn regarding their roles as women?
Okay, so Arabella, as I said, exploits this patriarchal system, and she knows that she gets married and she takes advantage of her husband, and that is how she exploits the relationship, you can say. Sue is much more intellectual person, and as we have seen that she is not much interested in the marriage idea. She's not very committed to the rules of marriage and all. So that is how we see the contrasting attitudes. And regarding the being a woman, so for Arabella, marriage and this traditional characteristic of women is very important, and that is not so much for Sue. She has her own personality and her identity, and she's much more interested in exploring that.